Wim Hof is a person who needs no introduction. He's the master of mind control, I would say.
You can only control 11% or 16% of the brain voluntarily. That is bullshit. You can overcome anything outside in the world because you have the control. You can interact and neutralize anything. That is the unlimited power of the mind. It's not a fairy tale. It's not difficult. It is there to serve you in the pursuit of your soul. The thing is, with a little bit cold, we go past our conditioned state of our bodies. Then suddenly we realize we can tap into our own brain. And then it is not about you lifting 2,000 kilos because you are Superman. No, let the mind do. Let the body do what it is capable of.
But suffering that can be understood for maybe a Hormetic or a Hormesis approach becomes divine in that it can help us evolve. Wim Hof, what a pleasure to have you on Think Tank with me. It was such an exciting time to be in Ushuaia together on the way to Antarctica in January, and loved your presentation there. And Wim Hof is a person who needs no introduction. He's the master of mind control, I would say, and also how to jump into incredibly cold water and survive it, and be able to push yourself to many, many limits. Maybe you didn't even know that you could take yourself to that point. And so we're going to have a very interesting conversation today about how to access that part of the mind. And before we do that, though, Wim, I'd really love to have you just tell people how you got to be doing what you're doing today.
So, like anybody else, we have a soul. And I was into a soul search. I was asking myself when I was 12, hey, if the world thinks that disease, wars, depression, darkness, pollution, etc., is normal, then I think the world is sick. And I'm going to do something about it. What I do not know, I just do it. And that's where it started. That is a soul search. And on the way, you find all kinds of incredible discoveries of that we actually are able to make a change instead of swallowing every day the realities we see on television happening all the time, as if we cannot do anything about it. It has no soul. And I was into soul searching, and I found that cold water brings me to an untapped reservoir of power connected to my mind. And slowly I began to unravel the power of the mind through the cold coming in, past my conditioned mind and body. And that took me on a journey for 40 years. And then I was into being challenged by television. And I could do all these records, 26 world records going into this, that. And then I came in contact with science. And what I was showing on television, physically, they said, this is actually not possible, according to science. And then the scientists came in, and they started to experiment on me. And then they threw a bacteria into me because I had apparently a control, a superhuman control. But to me, it's not superhuman. I'm just human. But I feel superb because I have control and connection with it. So what I did in the hospital, they injected me with a bacteria, which normally 16,000 times made people sick in the same experimental model. And in my case, I did not become sick whatsoever. I had it, and then they looked inside my blood, what was going on, and that I was deliberately, voluntarily suppressing the inflammation caused by the E. coli bacteria. And this had to happen 16,000 times, that endotoxemia model experiment on people, and they all show to become sick. Not me.
Wow.
And then they said, but you are a superhuman. No, I said, what I can do, anybody can do. And that's where the real journey began.
Did you know that there's a new love affair with mathematics and geometry happening all around the world today? People who once despised these subjects in high school are now finding they're falling in love with them. Do you know why? Because math without meaning is simply information, whereas math with meaning is divine communication. My courses, The Etymology of Number and The Language of Light, guide you on a journey of self-discovery, sharpening your problem solving and pattern perceiving, as well as analytical and creative thinking, and unlocking your fullest polymathic potential. And most importantly, acquainting you with the mathematical language of the universe itself. You will never see the U inverse the same again. To get started, I recommend The Etymology of Number, a 4-part series that explores the evolution of numbers and their impact on fields like physics, chemistry, music, and art. It is the embodiment of Leonardo da Vinci's encouragement to study the science of art and the art of science. Learn how to see. Realize that everything connects to everything else. My second course series, The Language of Light, is a 6-part series that builds on concepts from the first course and offers deeper insights into unified sciences, ancient wisdom, spirituality, and their relevance to today. My courses are always fun and easy to understand. They intertwine mathematics, music, art, and consciousness, and illuminate the mathematical connections that span all disciplines of science and art. Register for these 2 courses, Etymology of Number and The Language of Light, at robertedwardgrant.com under the Courses tab. And join the Robert Edward Grant community chat on Orion Messenger for lively, engaging, and innovative discourse.
Namely, to show that the people have much more power untapped inside of themselves through breathing exercises and the cold. And now it is going like hundreds of millions of people are doing this now. So this is what I've caused just by not agreeing that the world is normal, being full of pollution, wars, darkness, depression, disease, etc. It takes one person just to say, hey, I think this is sick, and I'm going to do something about it. What was my driving force is faith. Faith that I can change whatever is going on that is not right. And here we are now talking about it, about this past, and I can just my history shows that I've gone from a long time being a strange, crazy man, suddenly getting into these crazy world records with television. The people think I'm crazy. No, the television is crazy. They put me up to challenges, crazier, more, etc. 26 world records later, I get in contact with the scientists, physiologists, immunologists, etc. And then I show that we are actually all able to do so much more than was recorded medically and physiologically up till now. And where does it go in the end? That is in the mind. And that mind is untapped. And through the cold, you learn to untap the mind, or to tap into the mind, into areas thought of impossible, autonomic, out of voluntary will of humans. And now it is there.
Interesting. So what do you think it is as far as like the thing that you're tapping into in the mind? You know, I remember the first time I did a cold plunge, it was pretty shocking, I have to say. And now I've been doing them quite regularly and I quite like them. But even the first time I started taking cold showers, because I did my Ayurvedic chart and I found that I should take more cold showers rather than warm showers. And that had a huge impact on my life. But the first time I did that, I started to try to convince myself that the water wasn't so cold. And I was amazed at how well I could convince myself the water wasn't so cold. So what is this faith and what is this belief and how do you tap into this? What's the
Yes.
way that you have found to tap into it?
Yeah, it's called the periaqueductal gray hemisphere. It's the brain stem. It's the deepest part. It's the part between the spine and the brain. This is this is even deeper than the reptilian brain. This is the cause of life. This is where the opioids, the cannabinoids are. This is where we deal with pain. Could be emotional pain, physical pain, mental pain, spiritual pain. The loss of life creates a signal. Hey, guy, you are not busy with your purpose, with life. And life comes, what is the purpose of life? Is life itself and to grow. And that is in the deepest part of our brain. Once you go into the cold, which is uncomfortable in the beginning, you see that it takes 1 minute or 1.5 minutes to really adapt to that. At that moment, we are tapping into the deepest part of the brain. And because we are doing it, we are connecting voluntarily with the deepest part of the brain. Now, as simple as it is, this connection becomes stronger and stronger. And once you learn to go into the deepest, then where else in the brain can you not go? That is the beginning of tapping into the power of our brain activity, to be able to tap into any part of the brain. Because if you go to the deepest, you go past all the layers. So you can go sidetrack, you can go there. You learn to emotionally control yourself. You learn to be happy, strong, and healthy, which is controlled by the central nervous system, which is in here, the commander center, and then it goes down like myriads and neural channeling into the body. But if you cannot enter into the deepest voluntarily, then you are not able to balance out or regulate what is out of regulation or out of balance, like pain, like disease, like not feeling good, like spiritually not understanding why you are here. It's because you don't know how to regulate what should be in the power of regulation. And that goes through the deepest part of the brain. And that it is as simple as it is, because going into the cold will open that up for anybody. You don't need 20 years of yoga training. It awakens within a half hour.
Interesting. So what is it about going into the cold that does that? Why does being in cold environments or cold water allow this access?
Cold is dangerous. So the danger mechanisms, the survival mechanisms in the body, in the brain, which is part of the brain stem, and the periaqueductal, which is the opioids and the cannabinoids. Opioids to deal with the pain of the cold, and cannabinoids to feel, hey, you are on top of it. You feel good. There's 250% dopamine release. It's like cocaine, except for there is no cocaine. And you get high on your own supply. That is what the cold is doing. That is a part of the benefits for the cardiovascular system, which is everywhere in our body. It's amazing. It's so untapped, underestimated, underrated, and understudied. The cold on the human body. That in the beginning of this conversation, I was talking about this. This is more than a continent, more than Antarctica or Africa or the world. We are talking the universe. We are talking the mind. This is unlimited. The omnipresence is unlimited. But how to get there consciously if we cannot tap into the deepest part of our own brain? This is done by the cold. The cold goes in there because the cold is also dangerous. And but then you see that the body actually is quite capable of dealing with the cold. We feel it, and it's strong, but so is your mind. And once you get this channel through regular practice stronger, you become the master of your own brain. Isn't that logical, Robert? That we should own our own brain. That is the new school. That is the future. That is autonomy. Autonomy is a natural power of ours. Otherwise, we become manipulated. We become victims of manipulation. This is what they do in society. Whoever thinks, who is pulling the strings with fluoride, with this, with that, in the water there, and bringing us to schools to narrow our consciousness so we only have a limited control within our own brain. That now is over. Game over. You go into the cold. It is simple. You consciously connect like a cable, strong electricity. That is neural activity from the prefrontal cortex to the periaqueductal gray hemisphere. And then you go past all the layers of the limbic system, all the brain parts. And you should be able to access into any part of your brain voluntarily to rectify, to regulate, to bring back in balance what is out of balance in the body and the mind. That is all. And so through this so-called dangerous practice going into the cold, we actually gain control over the deepest part of our brain. And with that, we open up to the power of the mind. Very simple.
Do you think that what are the other best ways besides going into the cold that allow you access to that part of the mind?
Breathing. Breathing is able to de-traumatize us because breathing is like water. It's even more subtle. It goes everywhere, by which you are able to go into the blood and change the pH levels. And with that, the blood flow goes everywhere. And normally through our conditioning, partially we stay acidic. And with the acidity, the neurotransmitters are not able to exercise what they are all about, to release what is stored up. That is trauma. Trauma is nothing more than the storage capacity of ours to deal with a thing that could not be dealt in the moment when it happened. So later you should be able to process it when all is easy, nice, restful. Animals do that. We don't do that anymore because we override with our stupid mind our action and our feelings and our emotions as if they are not there. It's simply because we don't know. But now there is no excuse anymore. Through the breathing, we are able to de-block our bodies. And once that happens, we get flow. And once we get the flow, we can maintain the flow. It's easy to go in a car when it's going 100 kilometers. Just a little gas it needs. Mm-hmm. But before you get there, it needs a lot of gas. Mm-hmm. So that is the breathing doing. And once it gets there, you learn to stay in balance emotionally, because emotions in the end is nothing more than messengers to you. If you're feeling okay, yes or no, in interaction with the outside world, and that's the way it goes. This is the interaction until it becomes so fine, you become one with the omnipresence. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. It's definitely beautiful. So breathing in cold is one way to get us into this mindset. But what do you tell yourself inside of your mind? So like in your own mental narrative, what's the mental narrative that you kind of have going on in your head when you're trying to, survive your way through very, very cold environments, or when you're trying to create this faith that you're talking about?
Yes. So when I was 17, you remember in the beginning of the conversation, I was talking about this 12-year-old who's saying, hey, if darkness, sickness, pollution, abuse, etc., they think that it is normal. I think it is sick. I'm going to do something about it. What? I don't know. I just do it.
Mm-hmm.
I started with that faith, as you say. So when I was 17, I found myself still whirling like a vulture in my own mind.
Mm-hmm.
I was not alive. I was looking at life, but where is the life? Where is the purpose? Where is the soul? Where is it all? And I've been reading a whole lot, so many books. All the time I was philosophical. And then I found the cold. I had to take on that measure intuitively, instinctively, because I didn't know nothing about the cold. I just went instinctively, hey, I have to learn to stop this minding, this circling, the vulture, and be alive. So I went into the cold for the first time, and there, like if I have to put it in words, this is it. That feeling, directly, boom, they're inside. Instead of our concept of what was the cold, and surely back then it was something lethal. It was a opposing power, dangerous, no good, cold. Oh no, out. No, I sat there, right there, in, because it stops my mind. The mind is into the neocortex. That is the upper brain, the human brain. How to stop it is by addressing the deepest part of the brain, which naturally is ignited in that moment, by which the blood flow goes down. And then suddenly the thoughts disappear. You become much more aware of your inner power, your inner power. It's there. It's untapped. And I found myself, being 17 years old, going for the first time into that cold water. I found myself that I was very able to oppose the cold. It was not cold. The concept of that it is a dangerous, etc., it was absolutely not there. The power of mine inside was very able to oppose or neutralize the impact. And at that moment, I was just playing with the eyes around me. And I was realizing, hey, it is not cold at all. I'm just here. I feel great. That was the moment I connected with my body in the depth. And I realized it. And since then, and that is like 48 years ago. It's 48, almost half a century ago. I've been doing cold plunges ever since. And they are just amazing. It's genius. It's because it goes past the human mind, and it shows you a way to get into the full capacity of your own brain. And that is the way it should. It broke the chains. It broke the shackles of society, of the schooling, of the system. You become who you are, what you are. Nothing more. No politics. No left wing, no right wing. Both the wings, you fly.
It sounds like, it seems like a bit of a metaphor to the experience we have here on Earth in general. That, I went back to my high school and got an award for the Hall of Fame. And all my teachers from high school gave presentations and everything and talked about my time in school. And I didn't remember the easy teachers. I couldn't remember their names. I could only remember the difficult ones. the ones that pushed me harder, that pushed me farther, that believed in me, my coaches, the ones who pushed me and made me run, 10, 300 meters in a row at the highest speed possible. And I thought I was going to die. And it was those teachers that I remembered the most. And I think it's the same thing with life, that the things that we put ourselves into that are uncomfortable tend to push us forward the most and expand our consciousness the most. And it seems like this idea of coming to Earth where everything would be perfect and simple wouldn't really make sense if we're trying to learn something about ourselves.
Exactly. So I came up with these techniques, and they just came to me like, there is nothing that stops my minding in being comfortable, yet not feeling great. If you want to be superb, more than the normal is superar. In Spanish, superar. To feel superb, more than the normal compliant being, then you have to step into yourself. Stepping out of society and the system and that paradigm, and going into your full power is going within. So I got into these techniques. They came to me not because I thought about it. I felt this is what I need, intuitively, instinctively. And it grew. And for 40 years, I was like on my own. They called me crazy and this and that and all that. And I am crazy. But my wife and my life, absolutely. That's not crazy at all. That I feel I'm not going to divorce because I feel alive every day. I want to hug her every day. I feel that power that is within us, and we lack therein in our society. So I made it this power. It's called Hormesis.
Hormesis.
And Hormesis is self-inflicted acute stressful exercise by which we are able to go past our conditioned mind and body. And that's why you liked these people. You saw them. They appeared to you in your spiritual eye, in front of your spiritual eye. That is no nonsense. It's what it is. The ones who really helped you, you see them in front of you. They pop up because the rest didn't do a shit within you. So that's what you saw. And this is what the cold is able to do. But then the cold and the breathing is not the end. It's only the beginning. Because now you tap into the real power of yourself. And then you get into purpose. And then once you are into your purpose and realizing your purpose for whatever you are here, you can feel it. It makes you happy, makes you strong, makes you healthy. You feel the purpose. And it's self-driven. It's a power stronger than thoughts. Thoughts are nothing more than symptoms. You say, if you think too much, it's because you are not aligned with who you are and what you are. Going into the cold, doing the breathing is breaking out the conditioning. And now you get free flow. And then suddenly you realize what is your purpose? What is what makes you happy, strong, and healthy? So that path toward that is the path where you see your spiritual teachers or the people who bring you back to your uninhibited spirit. And for that, we need to go past all this conditioning, this pleasantry within our body and mind, which is not, we are not set up for a career. We are set up here to realize our bloody souls. And to pass it on with a driving force that is stronger than our thoughts. That is what I will want to pass on to my children and to my friends and to everybody else. Not fear-based, driven by love. Love for life. And for that, going into hormesis is, that's amazing. How they call it, hormetic hair, hormetic enhancing interoceptive I'm doing Detroit with neuroscientists right now, and they found out that this actually is hormetic. That is arduous exercise to get out of your conditioning. And then enhancement, hormetic enhancement through the hormesis, through these exercises, you enhance a power. And then you get into the interoceptive power. Interoceptive power is your will connected in the central nervous system, which is everywhere, suddenly is connected. And once it is connected, you are able to refocus. That is that's the way they name it. And they have difficulties to get a couple of million to make it a big study because they saw it happening with these people in very short period of time, that they were tapping into the power of the mind connected to the body the way nature meant it to be. It's a bloody blasphemy what is going on. And through these podcasts, I'm realizing that once again, through good questioning and common sense, I'm realizing in what kind of world we are, bereft of our own genuine power of our own mind to only regulate our own lives. That's what is happening. So we found the key. And the key is the hormetic enhancement interoceptive refocusing. Refocusing is changing the paradigm. But if you cannot, because you don't have the energy, you are not out of your conditioning, then how can you refocus? You can't. You need first to feel the power. You need to feel the uninhibited power called love. Love is so strong that if you, and now this time not for a woman or a man, it is not that. Now it is for life. You should be able to feel unconditionally a power called a love that makes any blockage between you and your object, which is living, which is purpose, it just goes away. And for that, we go into unconditional, these exercises, these hormetic exercises. Like, that's why you like these teachers who brought you through difficulties just to get you snap out of that paradigm and go into feeling superb, that you are able to attain any goal. That is the first step, that you become aware of the power of your own mind to be able to attain a goal, just unconditionally. And once you feel that, then the purpose is able to set in, and you realize, because you are able to attain that particular specific personal goal.
Wow. So couldn't this concept be applied to life in general then? That you could literally withstand and go through any suffering and any difficulty and realize that this is the hormesis of your life.
Yes, absolutely. Let's make it a shortcut, and that it is so. For example, recently I did a scientific study with people, 51 people being drunk. I make them drunk. I first measured them. And then I measured their pee and their breathalyzers, not me, doctors. They do the Wim Hof method. So first they don't do anything. They are measured. They get task performances like equilibrium, reaction tests, and whatever. And together with breathalyzers and urine, those are physical samples. So you got a baseline. And then you get them drunk. They stay over, 51 of them, a big party and all, very nice. Other day, we are there. We measure them again with hangover. Intoxicated, it's called. Intoxicated. Not only intoxicated, now it is becoming an hangover, like a disease, like a sickness. And then we did 1.5 hours the method, and they all cured of this intoxication. Oh, that means that this is a way that is able to get our intoxicated state of being, our narrowed down consciousness that is causing all these conflicts like inflammation, disease, depression, etc. And we take it for granted. It's intoxication. It's biochemical residue. We are able to cleanse it like within a half hour. Just take on these measures, and this should be given to all the people in the world. I always say, just try it once. Blame me if it doesn't work, but hey, just give it a try. Don't be stuck in the mind thinking, oh, yeah, maybe yes, maybe a little. No, do it once, do it good, and you will find your beautiful mind able to deal with anything inside your body.
So wait, this is really interesting now, because Wim, you could almost look at the world as some sort of spiritual life game. And the more challenges we face, the more hormesis we experience of the spirit, which is then making us stronger and stronger, so that even the most difficult circumstances that we previously perceived as the worst thing that ever happened to us can easily become the best thing that ever happened to us.
Yes. But look at Gaza. Look at, say, just a side street. Children. Recently, 2 months ago, I was there. And I got these war victims. Yeah. Children. What did they do? You know? I got them traumatized and all. And then I saw, with these children, they just want to play. They just want care. That's what they want. That's what they show. They don't make it difficult, even in the worst of situations. I see how a human acts. And yes, what we want in the world is love and care. Love and care. Love and care. That's all. And so, how to create that? Because love is the power to be within your purpose, within the full control over yourself and your emotion. That power now is there. And with that, we are able to... A happy man doesn't go to war. A happy man is not into greed. Then we evade all that and we de-traumatize, like we talked about the breathing. It is able to go past the conditioning and even the genetical conditioning of our ancestors, passing on, hey, if you get conflict, make war. Kill a couple of million people over there, and then it's clean again, and then we have a relatively peaceful time until the shit hits the fan again. No, you can clean up every day within ourselves, because all the wars are a mass production. It's accumulated in the masses, in the politics, in the systems, in the hierarchies, and now I saw we are able to get a cleanse even ancestral trauma, which is the cause of wars, of feeling hate, of feeling a grudge against somebody or some nation. It's all in the mind. We have no control over that mind, but now here it is. We have control over the mind, and it is not complicated. And this is what we bring for anybody in the world. For any problem, there inside, it is not about handling. Okay, that problem I can handle. Let me take another problem and another problem and another problem. No, until we see that we have a purpose. It's a derailment. Problems are like being derailed of who you are and what you are. And then you don't have the energy, you get burned out, you lose purpose, you lose sight, you become depressed and all that. No, it's very simple. If you go into the cold and do your breathing well, you should be very able to regulate your own emotions. And the emotions are the messengers inside if something is right and or wrong. And it's not complicated.
So, okay, along those lines then, this idea of, I say this often, I teach mathematics. And I say to people that nobody likes to really learn mathematics, especially if there's no meaning behind the mathematics. If there's no purpose behind learning of the mathematics, people don't enjoy learning it so much. But the moment you introduce the purpose and the meaning behind the math, then it can become the language of God, a language of spirituality. You could connect to the divine with it. And I believe the similar thing is true with suffering. That suffering without meaning and without purpose is just suffering. But suffering that can be understood for maybe a hormetic or a hormesis approach becomes divine in that it can help us evolve into the next iteration of ourselves. And it helps us to grow and expand. And just like my teachers, I didn't remember the easy ones. I only remember the hard ones. I think the day that I die, I hope I teach my children this as well. The things I will look back on are those more challenging moments where I was able to find myself. Because how we die, because we're all going to die eventually, how we die became less important to me at some point in my life. What I decided was more important was how we live.
Yes, and me too. Love is stronger than death. Love is stronger than fear. Fear is a messenger inside that you have no control within yourself. You are not within your path and you're derailed from the purpose of life. If I see my oldest son is 42, my youngest daughter is 6 months old.
Yes, so, I know. I was going to ask how she's doing.
She is, I'm the Iceman. She melts me every day. So she is amazing. And there I see the purpose of life. I just want to take total care of you, that you have a fearless state of being anytime. Not only until you are grown up, and then you have to deal with the world and the shit when the shit hits the fan. No, be fearless. Take on life as a challenge and enjoy the challenges when they come. Because a ice bath is like a challenge. You should take it on like when I go into the ice, oh, nice. When I did all these challenges, the 26 world records, and numerous more challenges I did, I just loved to do it. And because the purpose was directly there. I was driven to find the purpose once again through my conditioning. And I did it so many times that I know the way out. I got the key. I know what to do. It's my mind. I can do anything now, because we are not going to die when we are dying. We are here with a purpose. And then we get into the second one. That is as logical as mathematics. 1 and 1 is 2. So this life, before our life, so-called, it didn't start with our birth. It doesn't stop with our going to die. Metaphysically, there is always connection. Only our paradigm is just so limited into these root brain waves that we cannot understand the more subtle state of being. For that, we need to take drugs. And drugs just show another reality. And that it shows in the end that, hey, you got to do something about it, because you go and descend back into the mud. And now I found that people who are taking ayahuasca and the toad and DMT and all, I say that is exogenous. We have an endogenous power to tap into the pharmacy within that makes us able to see our purpose, to feel the spirituality, pure spirituality that will fulfill our state of being. And with that, take away the fear of life in whatever way.
And what do you do mentally to take away the fear in your life? I gave a TED Talk once on my method to reduce the feeling of fear or to get beyond it. It's not that I don't feel fear. I definitely do feel fear. I let it come through, but it doesn't stay. And the reason it doesn't stay is because I use gratitude, the practice of gratitude, to overcome the fear. I don't feel anymore the fear. And when I raise my gratitude frequency, I feel like I cannot feel grateful and fearful at the same time. So I noticed that as a major thing for me.
I got you. I got you. Gratefulness.
What is it that you do? How do you do that mentally? What do you tell yourself when you're in a fearful state or circumstance to not feel the fear? What's the mental narrative in your mind?
Yes. So recently I did a study, a case study in Sydney, and I showed, compared to 9,500 brain scans, the brain activity, which is more or less human. In the bandwidth of the average of 9,500 brain scans, biggest database on magnetic stimulation type of brain scans, I showed how to be in there, like through a brain scan, then get out, go half hour in my intentional sort of meditation, just very dynamic. I'm here. Hey, I want to tap into the brain, and I will go absolutely way past the bandwidth of normal brain activity and show that I am superhuman. No, we are all superhuman, only we don't know how to get out of the average bandwidth of brain activity. Half hour later, I got back and I showed the same brain scan, but now I showed to be completely out there. As I am able to do that, I say we all can do that. What this professor, neurosurgeon, said about the interpretation of what he had just witnessed, one brain scan where I was like everybody else, and then the other brain scan, half hour later, same brain scan, completely out. He said, you have tapped consciously into the subcortical, cortical is our human awareness, subcortical, higher functioning of the brain. And that is where it happens. Trust, confidence, empathy, but also gratitude. So if you are able to tap into those parts of the brain, then the fear stops, because the fear is a neurosignal that shows you are not in charge of your own brain. Do something about it. And that's what you do before you go do a presentation like that. And that's amazing that you show it through gratitude. But anybody should be able to do just that. Now the thing is, I can do stuff. I can show it in brain scans. I can show bacteria going away or virus or whatever. But the thing here with this podcast, for example, is to bring it to others, that they have also this superb kind of connections possible to enter into the unlimited power of the mind, where there is no fear, where there is suddenly purpose. Because why wake up if you're in fear? When you are fearless, you think of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. But we are also blocked and inhibited. That is through our schooling. You can only control 11% or 16% of the brain voluntarily. That is bullshit. It is 100%. And when it is 100%, then the fear signal of fear is no longer, because you are in charge. You can overcome anything outside in the world because you have the control. You can interact and neutralize anything. That is the unlimited power of the mind. It's not a fairy tale. It's not difficult. It is there to serve you in the pursuit of your soul.
So this is probably the way then, without even thinking of it this way. When I first started taking very, very cold showers, which is now a norm for me, I started to convince myself that the water wasn't cold, but was actually hot. And I could feel it as hot on my skin. So I was convincing myself completely that the water that was freezing cold was actually hot. And when I jumped into the Antarctic sea around this Neko harbor, and it was full of ice and everything, the only thing I felt, it didn't even feel cold. It felt like a sharp feeling, like knives almost, instantly, right? And they didn't let us stay in very long because, they had us on a harness and they're pulling us out after a little while. But it was an interesting feeling because it didn't feel cold to me, the shock. Maybe it was just shock. But I literally came out of that and I wasn't feeling freezing cold at all. I felt like I was hot almost. So it was such a unique experience for me. I guess that must be also what I've been doing, is to convince myself. And if I can convince myself that cold water is feeling hot, then what other things could I convince myself to experience?
Exactly, Robert. This is the point. This is not about a circus act. Going, oh, look at me, I can go 2 hours swimming with the dolphins in the Antarctic and all this, and that television, National Geographic, and all, fuck all. That is not the thing. The thing is, with a little bit cold, we go past our conditioned state of our bodies. Then suddenly we realize we can tap into our own brain. And then it is not about you lifting 2,000 kilos because you are Superman. No, let the mind do, let the body do what it is capable of. It is here to set an intention. I want in 5 years to become this, or to be there, or realize great deal of my emotional life so that I am able to pass it on to my children. It will all happen. The mind does it. It connects with the superpowers out there. And the superpowers, they serve us. But if we are not connected, then we think we have to move the stones. No, the superpowers do it. And they listen to our intentions. And those intentions, that is called interoception. That is what we have seen in the studies with the neuroscientists of Wayne State University. They say this. In scientific papers, after doing studies on me in the brain, they said, now we have the compelling evidence of the key components of the autonomous processes in the brain related to mood regulation. And what is mood regulation? Emotions. We are able to regulate our emotions, the messengers of if something is wrong, then we are able to rectify, to bring it back into balance. That is that interoception. And a little bit cold will open up you to the innate capacity of the power of intention. And with that, suddenly the whole brain and the body is able to work the way it should. And we are finding to the neurotransmitters CBR1 in the same university now. New studies have shown cannabinoid receptor number one, which is a connector in the body to make flow possible. But we, with our comfort zone kind of behavior, we have less of those neurotransmitters, so it disconnects in the body. It's logical. And now we found the connectors, how to activate them. And the people who are doing this method, they showed how to activate those cannabinoid receptors, number one, the connectors, by which suddenly the nervous system began to flow antagonistically.
Yes,
Hey.
I'm sorry. I got out of battery suddenly.
No worries, no worries. So here we go. So it's already recording, so we can basically keep going from here.
Robert, I think the old paradigm of the pyramid, and which only shows the real power of ours, the way we are, where we came from, now is within our brain, our mind. We are technically able to tap into that, but we never knew how to do it. And it took me this crazy journey to show neuroscientists how to tap into 100% of our brain. I got all the proof.
I totally agree with you. And that's exactly the type of work that I've been doing. Exactly. It's almost like what you said about your brain research showing that, you know, one of the ways to overcome fear was through gratitude and love and trust and these types of feelings. I was just found that out on my own naturally. It wasn't because of any research, but I used it my whole life. And now what I've really focused my time and effort on is learning how to balance my brain in hemisynchronization. And the hemisynchronization has helped me to discover major, you know, things in mathematics and physics and geometry, as well as, you know, discovery in music and music theory. And also helped me discover a lot of things in the Great Pyramid, a lot. And that's what my television show Codex is all about. So it was interesting that, you know, your computer ran out of hard drive storage, but that turned into a blessing because while we were trying to figure out how to continue our discussion, then all of this discussion about the pyramids came up, and I found out that you had a very, very deep interest in this, and that's what pretty much all my work is related to.
Amazing. So my deep research, your deep research will come up like a pyramid, thesis, antithesis, synthesis. A new what? New insights. That's what I see. I'm doing a lot of research right now with Miami University, Detroit, a lot of universities. And they come up with this. Yeah, I have talks with the directors of it all. And then they say, oh, you got to talk to this guy. He's the authority in the world on the vagus nerve. Kevin Tracy. Say, hey, that's my friend. He just asked me recently to to endorse his book. And he has got a full chapter on me. And that is because of this and this and this. It's not exogenous, it's endogenous. But then you don't hear of these people anymore. So you say what they say is the best, then you say, oh, but I do this already for so long. And then you don't hear anything of them anymore. This is so we gotta, I continue anyway. I'm a man on a mission. Never sleeps, always is on a mission. That's it. I just keep on pushing. But if we can both come together and go faster, then I say, why not?
Let's do it. No, I'm super excited. I'm really excited to take you to the pyramids in Egypt and experience it the way that I do. I've spent, so Wim, I've spent 20 nights inside the Great Pyramid.
Whoa.
And I've been out the portal at the top.
Happened? What happened with the gratitude? What happened? Did it open up? It must have opened up your brain. And
it did.
Sometimes it happens in a subconscious way. I wasn't aware that I could tap into the subcortical higher functioning of the brain as the first one in the big database ever done. And not a little bit, big time.
Yeah.
So it must have opened up somewhere in my journey without me noticing, being able to do all the feats that I'm doing, because I'm able to tap into the unlimited power of the mind, which is
Yes.
fearless. Which then
Yes.
you
And so
become fearless.
that's exactly right. So what it did for me, the Great Pyramid, is it changed, it completely transformed me. First of all, I used to be a pharmaceutical CEO. I was a
Well,
pharmaceutical CEO of big pharma. And then I completely changed. I look completely different. It changed my DNA. It changed my body completely. I've been through a massive transformation, and that's why when you see me in the video that I showed you of my first television series 5 years ago, I look completely different, and like I can't even tell you. It made me age backwards even.
yeah. No, I got you. And I believe so. And you look good, by the way.
Thank you. And I went out the ceiling. There's a portal out the ceiling. And when you know how to match the frequency inside the sarcophagus, you find the right resonance frequency. It's like a hum. You go, like that. Then the sarcophagus goes, wah, really loud. And then after you do this and you're breathing, you see the ceiling, there's a flower of life, and the ceiling flower of life opens, and you can go out the ceiling. And I've been out the ceiling. I went out 5 hours, and I went on a tour of the Botus system, Arcturus, Pleiades, Sirius, and I was taken by 2 guides through a wormhole through this. It was incredible. And then 2 weeks later, I discovered the prime number pattern and published it for prime numbers. And I started to get major downloads on everything geometric and philosophical, and also physics, like straight physics. So this is the portal for me. And so I know when you go, if you know how to do it and how to access it, you'll access this and go totally next level.
Wow, amazing. Oh, more than amazing. So that is the knowledge. That is our goal. We have been suppressed in that opportunistically, yes or no, doesn't matter who, what, etc. How to make this available to the mass consciousness in the world and uplift, elevate consciousness worldwide. That is my question now.
That's exactly what we are to do.
Yeah.
We are to elevate consciousness. And the way we elevate consciousness is by elevating our own consciousness endogenously.
Yes.
It's internal. So once we realize the only way to fully change the world is to become the change we want to see in the world, we have to start to understand and love ourselves and authentically love ourselves completely. And once we do, then the world around us transforms.
Exactly.
Because the world is a world of perception.
Yes. This is the 12-year-old talking. The philosophy of the 12-year-old was, if this world thinks it is normal, that there is darkness, abuse, war, pollution, etc., then I think the world is sick, and I'm going to change it. And how? I don't know. I just do it. And just doing it is making it happen. And it took its journey and all, but my faith was like a drop every moment. And that has become, in time, a tsunami.
Orion is unique. No algorithms, no propaganda, and no exploitation. Just end-to-end quantum secure data. Messages, groups, and shared media behind a wall of next-generation encryption.
And so it is able to go and break the existing paradigm. And with that, we are able to bring the real knowledge, worldwide, accessible. And we will find the right way that it goes viral I already think your programs went viral because I meet all the people wherever I go. People say, you deeply changed me. And then I talk about portals. They directly understand.
Yes, that's right. So, now the portal is within each of us. As you said to me earlier, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. And that's what you're stimulating, and that's what you're accessing within yourself. But these places, I realize that all the pyramids around the world are like a gigantic musical instrument. Each one of
Wow.
them is a different musical note. And I proved it because the slope angle of the pyramid, the exact slope angle, is based on the length of the height versus the base, right? So I analyzed and measured all the pyramids in Mexico, all the pyramids in Egypt, and I found that each one had a different slope angle. So the Great Pyramid is 51.85 degrees, and the one next to it is 53 degrees, 53.13, and the third one is 51.34. They're all different because they all represent musical intervals in mathematics. And they're all like keys on a piano keyboard, and there's 24 keys on this particular octave. And it's all around the world. So this is literally a giant musical instrument. So we have to learn how to play the music of the self and learn how to realize that we are the creator of our own existence. We're the ones. It's literally we've created this, and we put ourselves in this environment so that we could learn to transcend it. And it's beautiful because it's absolutely the reference point I was trying to make about hormesis. It is a hormetic principle we're learning as a soul greater spirituality through hormetic challenge. And this is what we're learning to transcend. And so now that you're going to the pyramid,
this is what I say to the people as well. I say it from a different angle. I say, once you are in your purpose, then everything else subsides, and the unlimited power of your mind is at your service.
Yes.
And that's why it is there. It is not for a circus act. It is there with a purpose to overcome anything that should be overcome here on this planet Earth for you. And then you will be happy, and you will love your life, and that you will trespass to your children. That's what you want. Well, love and understanding. That's what the Beatles were also talking about.
We're here. I say this all the time. We're here for two reasons. Main reasons are to learn how to love and how to be loved. That's it. It sounds easy, but it's, it's like the end of Moulin Rouge, where he said, the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
Yes, sir. That's it. So we got work to do. Great.
We got work to do. So I'm looking forward to spending some time with you. I'll reach out to you separately, and looking forward to taking you to some pyramids, maybe in Mexico and also in Egypt. And you need to spend the night in the pyramid. You have to experience it.
I'll go when you are there. Not next week, but in the coming months.
Yes.
I will plan my trips to Mexico and Egypt, and we're going to find out. Probably also in India. A couple of and find about the keynotes of the piano.
Yes,
and
that's exactly
and make it
right.
Happen and feel the music.
It's all in feeling the music, my friend. And we live in this beautiful U-inverse because it's all from endogenous.
U-inverse, yes.
It's the U-inverse. So the U-inverse is here for us. When we change ourselves within, then the world without on the outside will all change. And this is the beauty of your teachings and what I listened to and what I felt listening to your talk, both in Ushuaia, in the southern tip of Argentina.
Yeah.
But then also here today. And I really want to thank you for taking the time with me. It's been quite a discussion. I'm glad that our computer stopped because it gave us a chance to talk about, all the other things that were interesting us, the real stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's coming, and it's going with the speed of light. Let's not think too much about this. I have no hesitation. I just want to go. And that is the speed of light. Just do it. So a part of this, let's come together and exchange Tell me how is the weather today? And with that, the universal principle of weather as well.
Absolutely.
Things like that.
Absolutely.
Insights will come.
Well, you saw also that yesterday there was a massive power outage in Spain. Did you hear about this? So there was a major power outage in Spain.
I'm a little bit gone from the news.
There was no electricity in Spain for almost 10 hours.
Whoa!
In all of Spain and Portugal. And the reason was a strange reason, because the news report said that it was because there was a rapid change in temperature that caused a different atmospheric vibration.
Whoa.
Which doesn't sound right to me. And so what it sounds to me like is it relates to the aurora borealis. So aurora borealis has now come very far south, as you've seen. Normally it should be tight at the top of the planet and tight at the bottom, but it came very far south, all the way to Mexico, in fact, and also parts of Southern Europe. And so, yes, so there is something going on with the geomagnetic magnetosphere instability, which is causing this massive power outage, I believe, in Spain and Portugal. And I think we're going to see more and more of this because there's a massive change coming. I feel it.
There is a transition absolutely at work. It is up to us to do our work now, much more uninhibited, and see the purpose of our work now being addressed into the world. Yeah,
and this is the work
I don't know. Let's just do it.
Let's just do it. And, one last thing I'll leave on is this. Carl Jung talked about the merger of the subconscious, the U-inverse, and the conscious mind. This is your persona. Together form the superconscious mind. I feel we are on the verge of stepping into a superconscious mind. And this is part of what's happening with all the transition that's occurring. And this knowledge of what you're talking about is what you're tapping into, a type of super consciousness, and that's how you're able to withstand and get 26 world records. I believe that this is something that's part of the destiny of humanity. And I think that Egypt is playing a major role in this, and the pyramids around the world, because this was knowledge that I think was known thousands and thousands of years ago that was lost. And now it's time to bring it back. And that's part of this consciousness cycle, going up and coming down and going up and coming down. We've been in a down trough, but now it's going to come back up again very rapidly with all the shifts that are happening. How can people find your work, Wim, that want to learn more about what you're doing and learn about your teachings?
This is I got a website, though I've never been on my own website. My knowledge is here and now. This is what we are telling. This is what it is all about. I have no value in the world. I have no value on my website even, because I think it's more done by my team and my son, and they put a framework around me. I am only satisfied when I find my real purpose landing on in this world, in the minds of the people massively. So how do we stay in contact, I say to the people, to what we are going to bring about. The rest on my website is telling things about science, about how to defy bacteria, depression, I have energy and all. This is all great. But this is a new dimension. This is the space itself. And we are omnipresence, omniscience, and omnipotency. So we are tapping into that one. And then our soul is realizing its magnitude of being here. That's follow us, I would say.
From the real Wim Hof, and he called me the real Tony Stark. But that's just me. But thank you so much, Wim. You're such a great guy. And thank you for all the work you're doing to inspire millions of people around the world and inspire me also. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon on a big adventure in Egypt and Mexico and on the trail of consciousness.
You don't know how much you inspired me now. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and let's keep this ball on rolling. A whole planet.
Okay, my friend. Good to see you. Thank you so much.
Bye.